Hey guys, this is Primeval, and welcome back to part 35 of my huge Earth map DD series. We are playing on slightly lower graphical settings here. I couldn't have us set to the absolute minimum because the game, at least on my setup, was having trouble drawing the textures for the luxury resources, the antiquity sites, and some of the borders around the city labels, so that definitely didn't make for good video. We're getting set up here to attack Brazil, if I recall correctly, but I'm not sure if we had another target pop up in the intervening turns. Matter Zero is asking us to take a quick look at what our diplomatic situation with Arabia is. Let's see. We are at war with Arabia, that's right, but I don't think we have any Arabian cities nearby that we need to poke at. We're not at war with Denmark, although they do have some privateers running around. Okay, so let's start rolling through the units then. Don't think we had any other plans. Last episode we bought out all of our research labs in all of our cities. We can quickly take a look at where we stack up with that. Not the diplomacy screen, I want the economic overview screen. We sort that by science. So we have research labs in all of our top science producing cities. We could buy some more stuff in Amsterdam, or at least take a look at Amsterdam. They're working on a granary here. If I were to annex this guy, I could get another 10 science per turn by working those slots. I don't know if that'll be worth it. Well, if we were to annex the city, it would increase our unhappiness by 3, bringing us to 0. So, and we'd get at most maybe 15% or 15 point boost to our science. So puppets don't contribute as much science as they would if they were not annexed. Let's see if we can get the most over from that. Yes, the puppet modifier is minus 25%, so we would be adding something in the range of 15 more science, which I don't think is worth the 3 happiness. So we'll leave that guy as is, and then it's just a matter of moving our fleet in on Brazil. We do have the embarked infantry unit who is going to give us the option of capturing some inland cities if this attack goes well. I'll get the opinion from chat whether you think we should send this fleet over towards the Brazilian capital, which has a number of wonders. I think most of Pedro's 8 wonders are in his capital here: the Colossus, Taj Mahal, Louvre, Cristo Redentor, Eiffel Tower, Sydney Opera House, CN Tower, and Broadway. So he's definitely going for a cultural victory here. The other option is to take Recife, see if we can get peace with Brazil, and then go for the Incans. The Incans are more threatening since they were either the first or second civ to build out the Apollo project, which is actually a realistic win condition on this map. The tourism win on this massive map isn't really going to work for us. Massive Effects asks if there's a way to check what cities Brazil has their great works in. I don't think there is, so we can't make our choices on that. And the AI is actually really good about relocating its great works when their cities look like they're in danger of being captured. The only time you actually are able to get great works, at least from what I've seen, is when they have no other slots to shuffle those great works away to. Alright, so let's worry about those troop movements last, and we'll see if the chat has anything to say about which city we should target, whether it's going to be Recife or Rio de Janeiro. In the meantime, we'll go and have a look at the rest of our troop positioning. We don't have any great scientists saved up at the moment, and our next great scientist, we've got 70 turns for the engineer, 6, 20, and 32. So let's look at our timing for satellites. If we we're gonna pop 2 great scientists on our way there. So that should shave off maybe 12 turns. So probably just free satellites, in which case we're still a good 20 turns off, meaning I'll probably want to have my great engineer timing somewhere in the 20 turn range. Let's have a look at York again. Right now we are in 56 turns. If we go employ someone at the factory, we're at 28, both factory slots, down to 19, but we're in starvation. Okay, so let's have 1 factory slot worked, and then in the next episode we'll slide another grid engineer in there, and then that'll arrange that to complete a grid engineer somewhere in the 20 turn range, which is where, if all goes well, we'll start on Hubble telescope and have the engineer hurry that wonder. So let's return here. So most people are opting for trying to go for Rio here. Massive Effects is saying that we really wanted to go for the Incan cities, which is true, but could be more difficult. Why don't we inch forward with the nuclear submarine and see if there are subs waiting for us in either Recife or São Luís, and that will help us decide what direction we should move in with our ships. Alright, we can see if there's a sub in Recife. No subs in Recife. I think this might be the safest target to attack. Well, are we within range to pop in here in 1 turn? We're not. So we'll stay just out of range here, because whenever Brazil spots our fleet, Pedro relocates his air force to one of these cities. So what I'm hoping to do is catch him while his air force is away, which is right now, but unfortunately my battleships aren't ready to take up position and bombard the city in this turn. So we'll get everyone closer, maybe park right down over here. And Matter Zero brings up a good point. Even though Hubble is still a ways away, we want to be building Hubble in the largest, or in our city A, that's the largest, because the amount of hammers that the grid engineer contributes is based off of population. So we'll get maximum yield out of the grid engineer if we use our most populous city. And we also probably won't get enough hammers out of the grid engineer to complete Hubble in 1 turn, so we're going to want the city with the highest production, or the highest potential production, if we are serious about racing for Hubble. So that's something we'll have to keep in mind, and it does mean, ideally we'd build Hubble in York. Okay, so here is where all of the submarines are. We probably need to back off. At least they'll have to move to be able to shoot us. We might need to take the next turn dealing with all those subs instead of moving in on a city. But we'll pull down to here. And we can pull this sub back. Alright, so that's our Brazilian attack force. We've got a trade route that we can get going here. Highest gold. There's no one we can trade with that would get us a lot of science. Egypt for 4 science, but that's not really significant at the current science costs. So the biggest gold yield is by trading with Denmark. Alright, let's do that. And let's see, what other suggestions do we have? Once we engage CIV, we'll be flanked by the rest of Pedro's fleet. Alright, so that's Jacob 23 is completely correct. We are going to want to deal with these nuclear subs before we start getting into range or constraining our movement up against the CIV there. So we'll see how that all works out. This guy is good. That's enough for the next turn. Let's quickly have a look at what city we're likely to want to build Hubble in. Probably Edinburgh could potentially have the most production. It's got a lot of mines and hills. But London has almost the same amount of population. By the time we get over 2 satellites, it'll be tied for population, and it'll be much easier for us to move the engineer from York to London than from York to Edinburgh, which will save us several turns because we have got rough terrain here. The other potential option is to start working on a railway. Yeah, that might be what we want to do. Build a railway out. So London, since it does have the manufactory and a couple hills, potentially 3 hills to work, London could have decent production. I think overall Edinburgh is going to have higher production, but that's something we can plan out once we're actually closer to getting satellites. So that's for a future episode, but I do want to consider getting a railway going. Well, we actually don't need that. So since these guys are connected by harbors, they should get the railway construction bonus right away. We'll have a look at that when railroads finish. But that's we'll mull that all over during the long turnovers. Chapter MMA, I will definitely be doing some Civ multiplayer games this summer. I don't know exactly when, but the summer is a long window, so we'll definitely squeeze at least one multiplayer game in there, likely several more, but I can't say exactly when. We've got Japan offering us open borders. I suppose we could sell them open borders. Oh, we're actually friends with them. Strangely enough. Alright, we can sell them open borders for 50. Jacob 23, the amount of hammers a great engineer adds is based solely on population. The population of the city where the great engineer is used. It doesn't matter if the city itself has almost no production. The value goes purely off of population. At least it used to. Civ as a game has so many little details and has been modified or patched a number of times, so it's possible that not only have I forgotten a lot of things about the game, but that some of my information might be incorrect, but I'm fairly certain that the Great Engineer hammer yield is based off of population. So there's some formula, a little multiplication that's done with the primary input, or the only variable being that city's population. So truffles, we do have truffles for sale. Is someone we're friends with interested in our truffles? So there's Montezuma, he's actually leading on score here. Austria is guarded. And Selassie's guarded, Siam, Egypt. Everyone who's interested in our truffles is guarded with us, so I don't think we're going to get a better deal somewhere else. Let's see. Maybe a straight up luxury trade. He doesn't have any excesses there. Is he willing to give us 6 for the truffles? No. Alright, let's see if we can get a better deal somewhere else. So Matter Zero is looking it up. On standard speed, which is what we're playing at, the formula he's found is that you get 300 hammers plus 30 times the city population. So if we were to use London, when it has 16 population, that's going to be what? 4,800, 5,100 hammers. Is that right? And Hubble, we can check the cost of Hubble. I think it costs quite a bit more than 5,100 hammers. So, in either case, the Great Engineer is not going to insta-build Hubble for us. So we definitely want to find find a city that has a lot of production. Let's try to figure that out right now, even though it might be a waste of effort, since any time in the next 20 turns, another Civ could build out Hubble and spoil all of our dreams for going for the science victory. And if we can't do science, there's no other viable victory for us on this huge map. Alright, so my random bit of math there seems to have been way off. Matter Zero says that I'll only get 780 hammers off of the Great Engineer. So ignore everything that I said previously. That's another reason that it's really important to get your population up. This game, I had been preoccupied with a whole bunch of other issues. And we didn't concentrate on boosting our population as much as we should have. So we're not going to get the yields out of that Great Engineer, which means we're probably going to miss out on Hubble, which is going to be bad news for us. Now, as far as raw production tiles go, York actually looks really good for that. It's got all of these mines within range. The city tile itself has 5 production. So if we gave him a railway, which should get hooked up automatically since they're connected by harbor, even though York has a lower population, it does mean missing out on a lot of free hammers from the Great Engineer. Maybe we can try to send a bunch of food to York in the intervening turns. Jacob23 wants us to have a look at whether or not the AIs have discovered satellites. We can try to see, once the turn rolls over, what the tech cost of satellites is, and try to infer from there whether or not anyone has already discovered satellites. And Matter Zero points out that our frigate was bombarded by a Great War bomber, possibly from the CIV here, or possibly there's an embarked, or rather there's an aircraft carrier somewhere here, because usually you get the little indicator, even if they're out of your line of sight, that the number of airplanes that are stationed at a city. So the first thing we'll do is check for Jacob23 if we can tell if another Civ has grabbed satellites yet. Unless someone happens to know on standard speed what the unmodified cost of satellites is, then we won't need to look for a comparison tech. Alright, so let's go and look at the current cost of satellites. Satellites is currently at 12,012, which is the same price as lasers, robotics, advanced ballistics, modern tactics, and telecommunications. But we do know that at least one Civ has telecommunications. That's Brazil, since they do have the CN Tower. So since all of these guys are the same price, and we know that Brazil has telecommunications, I don't know if that means that satellites has been discovered yet. Since they're all the same price, that sort of implies that the same number of civs have discovered all of these techs. But, I mean, let's see. If Brazil is 20% ahead of us, that probably is like 22 techs. If we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Alright, so it's very possible that they've researched all the way up to here. In which case, yes, other civs already have satellite technology, and our chances of building out Hubble have decreased by that much more. Alright, well, let's see what we can do about this fleet. We've got a massive army of nuclear submarines, and we only have 3 privateers, so at the most we could capture, at the most we could capture 3 subs. So let's get started on that. Is that out of range for me? We'll pop down a little closer. We'll do our bombards here. This guy doesn't have additional movement, so we can move over to here. Alright, and the carrier is what's holding all of these aircraft. It's got, a fighter and a bomber, not a Great War bomber, so we can send our nuclear sub over to deal with this guy. Let's send them over 1 tile at a time. That's a lot of nuclear subs. Alright, so where is the safest spot for us to shoot from? We don't want to get within range of this nuclear sub, so we'd have to kill both of those guys. If we park right here, can we one-shot the aircraft carrier? No. Alright, so let's see if we can clear out these guys. Is this going to be a decisive victory? No free sub there. Can this sub now move around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Enough to take out the aircraft carrier. Alright, so we destroyed the aircraft carrier and the 2 aircraft that it was carrying. So that's good. Let's see. This guy could potentially capture that sub. This guy could move over to attack this sub, say. But we are going to lose a whole bunch of units. So our battleships will all take their shots and then they'll move out of fire range of these nuclear subs. We're probably going to lose the privateers we're going to send in to try to actually capture the subs. So, deal damage here. I don't think Ethiopia is at war with anyone here. So we destroyed that sub. This guy has 7 movement, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're out of shots here. So we'll move this guy out of range of these subs. This guy has also used his shots. We can move back to here. This guy has taken his shots. We can move back to here. Also used up his shots. We'll swap spots with the privateer. We can try to get a capture off on this guy. We don't have any other ships to deal damage. So, we'll risk this privateer. Hopefully get another target. Excellent. So these guys will be destroyed by these subs, unfortunately. But at least it'll act as a nice distraction, I suppose. All of these subs are going to be in danger here. Would I rather have... I think I'd rather lose the ironclad. So let's push this guy out and in the way. Maybe over here to act as a distraction. Can we... how much damage would we deal if we attacked the sub? That's out of range. Alright, let's just deal some damage to that artillery. And we'll bring these guys in. Okay, so we can bring this guy in to deal some damage. If I parked him right over here, only one sub would be able to target him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 6. That's really a dangerous spot for this battleship to be parking. But I would like him to deal some damage. Damage that guy. And you're right, this guy still has a shot left. But that's all of his shots. Alright, so... Wait, this guy has a shot left, okay. Good eye there, team. Try to take this submarine down. And that's all of his shots. Okay, so can we get lucky? Oh wait, he's got another shot. Does he? So he does. Alright, so if we're unsuccessful with the privateer capture, decisive victory, no such luck. Move forward one pace and take a shot at that sub. Alright, this guy is out of shots now. It's hard to check just because the interface lag is getting pretty bad. This guy is out of shots. This guy is out of shots. And this guy is out of shots. Okay, now we could, well, we'll move the Great Admiral to here to try to provide a nice little buff to these guys, but we're not close enough to heal up these units. So we'll just have to hope for the best during that turn. Because I have these harbors, I don't need to worry about building out a railway. London has finished a privateer. Let's get him the additional movement and then have him run over towards South America. And then choosing production over in London. We have all of our trade routes done. Let's keep on going with the privateers. And then choosing production. We're assigning delegates here. Historic landmarks, extra culture, world ideology, order. Those are both going to pass. So historic landmarks will help the AI more than it helps us. But any culture boost to help unlock another tenant will be useful. So let's go for historical landmarks here. That's, wait, that's only for landmarks, not for all great tile improvements. Great person tile improvements +2, archaeologists +4. Okay, so we do have a few great tile improvements. We'll take that, or at least we'll vote for that. Flip this over. And see how our fleet fares here. Slowly walking through the turns. Alright, so grabbing Hubble sounds like it's going to be difficult, but it's still the only viable plan we have, so we're going to plan as though we can get Hubble. And as for any other advantage we can get, it's all going to hinge around what this fleet can do. Although facing down modern era bombers does mean that this fleet is going to be less effective. Plus, that fleet of nuclear submarines is also fairly intimidating. We did destroy, what was that, 3 or 4 submarines this turn, so not bad. But Brazil does have a lot of units here. It's not going to be an easy fight by any means. killing that aircraft carrier and taking down the one bomber and the one fighter with it was definitely a good win for us. I'm just worried that Pedro has an inexhaustible army hidden and coming up from the south. Nuclear submarine bombarded by Great War bombers. So 3 Great War bombers took out one of our nuclear subs. The nuclear sub that we had recently captured. Over here, there's a nuclear sub and an artillery piece on top of it. But overall, we were actually pretty lucky there. We were only damaged by the bombers. All of Pedro's units are just moving around trying to get into position, although now this is getting particularly dangerous. There are 6 stationed aircraft and an atomic bomb. Alright, the atomic bomb is particularly scary. I don't know if the AI is programmed to launch nukes at fleets, at naval fleets, but our fleet is currently pretty bunched up, and that nuclear bomb could be fairly devastating. So let's try not to bunch up too much. I would like to take down some more of these nuclear submarines, but it looks like our plan to quickly attack some cities with our battleships is in a bit of trouble. So he's also got a fleet of aircraft over at Hasifi. Massive Effect says, good game. So this is the last episode for at least a week. Or I guess a little over a week. I won't be resuming this episode again until May 25th, 2015. That's a Monday. I'm going to be out of town for much or almost all of next week. So no morning streams then. If people feel like this game is insurmountable, and given the long turn times, it's not really going to be worth playing out until we lose, then we can end the game here, or make the Monday episode where we walk through with the in-game editor and reveal the entire map and see how the AI civs have been progressing. So this episode is going to be sitting here on YouTube for an entire week before we get new episodes up, so there'll be plenty of time for my viewers to weigh in on whether or not we should just concede this game and then move on to another Civ series, or we could keep on pushing through. What I'm hoping is that we can make peace with Brazil here and then try to move on towards the Inca, because making progress against Brazil is going to be quite difficult. I also want to see if our cities got the railway bonus, as they are hooked up by sea. So let's have a quick look at London. Production in London. If we go in most over production, city modifier, trade route established with city. So we don't have a rail bonus. We should have a rail bonus, but we don't. If I were to build out, maybe that'll kick in next turn. Edinburgh has a harbor. Is that correct? We do have a harbor, so that should be enough to provide the rail bonus to every other city that's connected by harbors. Chapter May is saying that the bonus will kick in next turn. Alright, so that's fine. Over in Edinburgh, we've got the privateer. Let's go and work on a cargo ship here. London does indeed have a harbor. You can even see the graphic on the main screen here. Alright, so what are we going to do about Brazil's fleet? We'll do our best to capture some more nuclear submarines this turn, which means pulling back here. maybe pulling over to, say, here. Try to capture these two guys. Do I have any other privateers sitting around who could get in on this capture game? Unit promotion on this guy will give him the additional movement. Massive Effects wants us to move out of range of the Air Force that Pedro has stationed in his cities. York is starving. 22 turns until we lose population though, so I'll leave that there for now, even though I was saying that I want to consider growing the population in York. Historical landmark passes. That was universal approval from all civs. Our next policy is now in 12 turns. We lost a sub, but that was it for our losses. Assyria's got a few privateers in here as well. Okay, so Massive Hex wants us just to back off. Alright, fine. Let's do that then. What we can do is get these guys closer to Zulu territory for healing. So when we return next week, it'll be with our fleet off at a safe distance, safe-ish distance, and then you guys can decide whether you want to see a post-game recap where we reveal the entire map, or if we should keep on fighting the good fight here, or move on to a new Civ series. So let's move these guys off to here. That's within range of a sub. Is this out of range? 1, 2, 3. This is going to be out of range, so we'll park there. Okay, so now everyone should be out of range of these subs. There's a sub here, and there are subs in here. They'll come over towards us, but now that we're out of range of the bombers, we can capture them safely without having to fear for our instant destruction during the turn transition. And we can check the diplomatic states. So Brazil is at war with the Celts and the Mayans, and the Incan are at war with the Celts, the Iroquois, and Vancouver. So these guys actually don't have that many people at war with them. So these guys will all park here. We've got a caravan. We could send food to York, or perhaps let's go and delete this guy, and we'll switch to this in London. We'll switch that over to another cargo ship. And then perhaps both of these guys will work on sending food to York, in case we do want to buff the population there, or in Edinburgh. Buff Edinburgh and then send the Great Engineer over to Edinburgh. That's probably going to be the more effective tactic. Alright, before we leave off here, Trapper MMA wants to know who currently controls the Panama Canal. That's the Aztecs. They captured the Chichen Itza from the city of Chichen Itza from the Mayans. The Aztecs are number 1 on score right now. They've dethroned Brazil with their military conquests. Let's move the Great Admiral back slightly, and we'll bring our infantry closer to the South American fleet. And here we've got a 4th privateer. So next turn, when these subs come out to meet us, we might be able to capture all 4 of them. And so we want to back off a little more with the sub. We should be safe here, so let's just go and take a shot at some of these embarked units then. Alright, so that's the turn. We'll roll the turn transition through, but that will be it for today's stream. Again, I'm not going to be around for next week, so we won't have any morning streams for the next week, but we will resume our morning streams on Monday, May 25th. But what that stream is going to be will be decided by your votes here and on the YouTube comments. What should I do next? Should I keep on playing through this series, trying to get over towards the end game, even though our odds of victory have been declining steadily? Matter Zero says we definitely gave ourselves a challenge picking Celts on a true start location map, and that's definitely true. Or do we want to walk through history with the whole map revealed and see how the other civs progressed? Or organize starting a new series of some kind. It could be, we could test out the NQ mod that Fruit Strike has been putting together, either and get some, let's kick that up to 7 gold per turn, 6 gold per turn, 5 gold per turn, fine. Alright, we don't want Sweden to go to war with us for one. Massive X says, I could pretend to have built or won the space victory and then move on to Gal Civ 3. That's an alternative. We could have a morning Gal Civ 3 stream in this slot as well. So that's also up for the vote. Just let me know what you would most like to see in this daily morning time slot. Yes, that's right, Trapper MMA. I'm going to be away at a conference for almost the entirety of next week. And no, we're not interested in signing any research agreements here. Twitchy 2014 is all in favor of ending this particular series. It's been looking difficult to win for a while now, but with being 20% behind, meaning that many of the AI civs, including the AI civs that are going for the space victory, their Apollo was just built out by Brazil, which is a little troubling. Our nuclear sub was bombarded and destroyed by a bomber and 3 Great War bombers. That's unfortunate. We can keep on selling these horses, that'll be fine. But Brazil decided not to advance on our position here. Alright, so we do know that many of the civs that have built out the Apollo project also have satellites, and Hubble was our only hope of potentially catching up on science and spaceship part production. So I would say that unless people really are enjoying our gradual progression through the 19th century here, we should probably concede this game. We may have bit off a little more than we could chew with these particular settings. Minddragon 1999, I'm afraid this is the end of today's stream, and we won't be back to our regular weekday morning streams until a week from now, or a little more than a week from now. So to repeat myself, we'll be back to our daily schedule starting Monday, May 25th. We're selling truffles. Oil is welcome. Gold per turn. Sure. We can keep that deal going. Yes, in Matter Zero, Chapter MMA, I study molecular biology and signaling pathways. And so that's what I'll be living and breathing, whether I want to or not, for the next week. I think the conference is in a relatively isolated location, so I don't know how much non-science I'll be up to for the week. And I won't be able to stream tomorrow because I have to do some last-minute work on my poster. In fact, I should have done that yesterday, and I'll be doing that all today as well. Classic student procrastination. That's right, Sumi. And for those of you worried about my cat, she is feeling better now. She was feeling a little upset the past couple days. You're healthy now, right? Just hungry? Not in distress? Yes. Blind Dragon asks if I'm ever planning to do face cams. So I can see how face cams would be good, especially in a game like Civilization, where there's a lot of waiting. If you can constantly fill the stream with commentary, then a face cam isn't quite as necessary. But if there are moments when you're thinking or clearly occupied, then it's nice to have a face there. So it's sort of like an hourglass timer, knowing that there's still someone on the other end of the line, someone on the other side of the computer screen. But personally, I'm not that into face cams. I don't have a webcam at home, so I'm not in a rush to get that going. But it could be something in the future. Anyways, that's it for where we are now. We can quickly throw up the demographics screen. We are currently in 19th position in terms of number of texts discovered. We are 15% behind Brazil. Brazil's currently at 85% text discovered. So they might not have satellites yet, but they're close. So I'll leave you off with this screen, and I'll get you guys to weigh in on what you want to see on Monday the 25th. And so sorry to leave you guys for a week. I had really been enjoying the consistency of the daily streams. But this is going to be the last stream for a while. It's possible I could get some non-Civ streaming going on Saturday before I leave. It depends on how busy and how organized I am. But thank you all for joining me today, and I hope to see you, or many of you, again when I get back to the daily schedule on the 25th. But that's it for now. Massive Effects says perhaps entering Incan sea tiles will prevent Brazil from sending forces to that city. Entering Incan sea tiles. I don't know. Well, I have enough of a force to protect myself against any aggression that Brazil wants to send towards Britain, but we're not in a strong enough position to deal with actually capturing these cities, especially while Brazil has a massive air force, including bombers, to back them up. Alright, that's all for now. Thank you all for watching. Primeval, signing off.